Hello and welcome to Crop Roadshow. In this series, you'll discuss the history of 3 or more crop cultivars, starting with the history of the crop itself. Then I'll rank them for agronomic traits, which will be out of 3, disease resistance traits, which will be ranked out of 2, 1 for each major disease, and 2 points for historical breeding use and future breeding use. Let's begin. Now on to our first cultivar. Pitmaston pineapple is actually an apple I've had. It tastes just like pineapple actually. Like a mixture of pineapple and golden delicious when it's fully ripened off the tree. As mentioned before in a previous video on the same topic, Pitmaston pineapple started off as an open pollinated seedling of golden Pippin, raised by the steward of Thomas Foley in Whitley Court, Mr. White, during the late 1700s. This seedling was later purchased by the fruit breeder John Williams of Pitmaston House, who named it Pitmaston Pineapple, who staged a showing of this apple in 1845 in the Horticultural Society of London. Now on to the traits. Based on the work of Pomiferous, it is likely resistant to scab. In terms of fire blight resistance, however, I have 2 conflicting reports. One paper by Dr. Kosiak used artificial inoculation using an artificially generated mutant strain of fire blight, while the other, by Dr. Vincent Buss, used natural inoculation over a period of time. Amongst the regular cultivars of domesticated apple, within Dr. Kosiak's work, Pitmaston pineapple is susceptible to fire blight, but within Dr. Vincent Buss's work, Pitmaston pineapple is actually one of the most resistant specimens researched within this paper. Indeed, of the 3 genetic families discussed, which are called sublines 92, 93, and 94, within the 92 subline, Pitmaston pineapple ranks second in terms of levels of resistance against fire blight. So I'm not sure where to go with this one. Depending on which paper you believe, it'll either be a 2 out of 2 or 1 out of 2 for fire blight resistance. I'll look into this further myself in the future. As per most russet apples, which Pitmaston pineapple is, it biannual bears, but it stores for a good 3 months, but it goes immediately afterwards, has multi-purposes using its unique flavor to flavor juice and cider as well as a regular eating apple. So for agronomic traits, for a russet I would give this a 3 out of 3 due to the unique flavor and good storability. Now on to the historical breeding history. There is none. Now on to the next cultivar. The next on our hit list would be Fenouillet Gris. This is one of the many Fenouillet type apples, a class of apples that originated in the late 1500s in the Anjou region of France. It was first documented by Pierre Le Lectier in his catalogue, which listed all the plants that King Louis the 13th. A new cultivar emerged in the 1800s called aromatic russet. This is speculated to be a seedling of Fenouillet Gris, or mutation of the original Fenouillet Gris, although this is pure speculation. Now on to the traits. In terms of agronomic traits, it can keep 4 months in storage, and needs consistently warm soils and air temperatures to ripen properly, and minimum differences in temperature between daytime and nighttime, as well as full sun. The texture, on the other hand, is firm, crisp, and crunchy, very much like a modern apple, texture-wise, and has almost no acid, so probably good for the Honeycrisp crowd, and a distinct licorice flavor found from the aniseed flavor profile. And it's one of the few apples that tolerate very windy locations. In terms of disease resistance, it's listed in the Royal Horticultural Society's big old list of scab-resistant apples as being resistant to scab, and in Vincent Buss's work in subline 93 of the apple families, Fenouillet Gris ranks third best in terms of resistance to fire blight. And this is third amongst 18 cultivars. It's pretty darn good. And the first 8 cultivars all resist fire blight pretty well. Indeed, within this paper's ranking system, it is ranked from 0 to 9, 9 being severe, 0 being no infection. For continuity's sake, Pitmaston pineapple is ranked minus 0.23, and Fenouillet Gris is ranked 0.03, so they're more resistant than resistant in its ranking scheme. Fenouillet Gris is ranked negative 0.03 for fire blight susceptibility, meaning it's more resistant than resistant. The only ones to top them are Violet, which is ranked negative 0.06, and Blanchard, which is ranked negative 0.17. And the rest of the 8 apples I mentioned, which include London Pippin, White Paradise, Northwestern Greening, and Rosemary Russet, are ranking 0. something. Capriccio 1448 ranks 0.06, London ranks 0.14, White Paradise ranks 0.16, Northwestern Green ranks 0.19, and Rosemary Russet ranks 0.35. As you can see here, very close to complete resistance or super resistance within this subline so far. You have to go to 9 or below in order to get to crummy stuff, but I digress. So in terms of disease resistance, 2 out of 2, agronomic traits, 3 out of 3, breeding history, none that I could find, so 0 out of 2, for a total of 5 out of 7. Now on to Wyken Pippin. In terms of the story behind the history of this plant, all we have is a folkloric tale, written in the 1700s. It was said by this folkloric tale that a man named Lord Craven ate an apple, and from that seed pod within the apple core, he took a seed. This apple was found in the Netherlands in 1715, and the seed was planted in Wyken, a UK suburb where he had his estate. Lord Craven would then raise the seedling from that seed, and it became the Wyken Pippin. The other view of this history would be that it was a tree directly imported from Holland in the early 1700s that renamed Wyken Pippin after the fact. It's known to be very fruity and aromatic in flavor, which improves in storage. This is an early apple. Now on to traits. It is resistant to scab, as seen both on Pommiferous and the RHS website. In terms of fire blight resistance, as seen on Dr. Vincent Buss's paper, it ranks 0.23 for fire blight susceptibility, meaning it's super resistant to fire blight. So on the topic of disease resistance, I give it a 2 out of 2. In terms of historic breeding, it was initially believed that the cultivar Laxton's Pearmain was a crossbreed between Cox Orange Pippin and Wyken Pippin. This, however, turned out not to be the case. Recent genetic evidence suggests that a cross between Cox Orange Pippin and Cellini, another cultivar. It seems to be the case, however, that the cultivar Laxton Superb is in fact a hybrid between Cox Orange Pippin and Wyken Pippin. So I give it a tentative 1 out of 2 for historical breeding. In terms of agronomic traits, it keeps for 4 months, seems to bear annually, and has a reddish look to it, very modern-esque. So for agronomic traits, I give it a 3 out of 3, for a total of 6 out of 7. That book covers everything. Thank you for watching.